Guys, I'm Arthur Perkins. This is APGamingREAL, and this is going to be the GM prep for a Stars Without Numbers campaign. It's actually going to be for a series of campaigns. So let me give a brief outline, I suppose, of what exactly Stars Without Numbers is. On the face of it, it's kind of like a Serenity Firefly version of science fiction fantasy. But it's also an old school D&D type campaign. So I'm going to read a little bit from the book here about what Stars Without Numbers is, and then I'll explain what the campaigns are, and then we'll get into making stuff. In Stars Without Numbers, you play the role of an interstellar adventurer. Whether a grizzled astrotech, lost worlder warrior, or gifted psychic, you dare the currents of space for the sake of riches and glory. Not everyone in the 33rd century is cut out for such a life. The vast majority of humanity is content to live out their lives on their own worlds, making the best they can of what fate has given them. The dangers of starfaring life claim legions of aspiring adventurers, and precious few of them ever manage to die in bed. Still, humanity needs their courage, ingenuity, and reckless ambition if mankind is ever to recover its former glory. The year is 3200. Humanity is scattered like dust among the stars. The broken relics of a former day litter the sky, and men and women struggle to rebuild the glory of humanity's lost golden age. For almost 1,000 years, humanity had expanded from its ancient cradle to fill the sky with worlds. At first, the expansion came by way of the enigmatic spike drives that granted humanity the ability to skip between stars. Countless nations, faiths, and ideologies sent colonists to the darkness above to find new homes where they could live free from the oppressive rule of Terra's calcified masters. The spike drive touched on a different world. It folded the tissue of space and time and pierced it to emerge at different stars. But the distance, in turn, touched those who traveled it. Over the course of generations, this subtle influence shaped certain descendants of the Starfarers. The condition that resulted was known as metadimensional extroversion syndrome. Most simply knew its victims as mezzes. Later, they were known as psychics. MES inevitably killed or maddened its carriers when they began to use their powers. The surge of extra-dimensional energy either cooked their brains or burn a pathway through their sanity. It was only through decades of research and the expenditure of countless lives that techniques were developed for harnessing this power to safety. I think we can skip around from there. That's a pretty good starting introduction. So, Stars Without Numbers is a game about humanity that once reached out into the stars on the wings of these spike drives, and in doing so became their downfall. The psychics went insane all at the same time. Without psychics to help traverse, only spike drive ships were capable of traveling. This particular sector we're about to generate has very few spike drive ships, and so over the last 700 years it has basically lain kind of dormant. Each world doing its own thing, maybe with some light invasions. Those who have the spike drives essentially control the fate of planets. And the players from one corner of the galaxy, the trading part, the Sons of Gold part, they'll have uncovered an ancient spike drive ship, gotten the drive working. In the beginning of the campaign, we'll then be reaching out into the stars with that knowledge and finding out that others too have found ancient ships or are developing old technologies new. I suppose I should talk about the different parts of this campaign. So let's get started. First, we'll be using the Emicron, a Stars Without Numbers sector generator, to pre-roll a ton of stuff. You can, by hand, create Stars Without Numbers sectors, but it requires so much work. it's easier to randomly generate one and then change the values around. And from there, that will end the sector generation. We will have a playground to begin in. The second part of the campaign is Sons of Gold. I'm going to reorder the sector so that there's going to be a small pocket of space with different technology levels, different cultures, different resources, and we're going to develop a campaign for how trade between those small pocket worlds will develop. And the players of the Sons of Gold campaign will play in that area. Sons of Gold is a Merchant Prince expansion for Stars Without Numbers. On the other side of the galaxy, there will be another set of pocket worlds, but unlike the variance of trading and technology, we want it to be more homogenous. We want the worlds to be of medium to high tech level, lots of population, because it's going to be a mercenary campaign, and these worlds will be more developed. They won't be, you know, suddenly rising back to the stars. They'll have been in the stars for 10, 15 years, long enough for rivalries to develop and grudges to behold, and that will give the mercenary players a little room to work with, taking contracts, figuring out who to kill. And in the center of these two separate campaigns will be a string of worlds that, should either of them play long enough and develop or steal or acquire the technology, they'll be able to reach, and that'll be like the main part of the sector. And I don't have any idea what I want to do with that, so I figure I'll probably just let the random dice fall where they may. So let's get started. I've decided to use my own name as the generator for this. Technically, it can be up to 7 letters, but here we go. This is what the Arthur sector looks like. It's called Gvenlin Lambda. So this right here looks like a good little sequence of worlds. There's a 2-jump here, there's a 2-jump here, and most ships in the beginning are only going to be able to do 1 to 2 jumps. 3 jumps is extremely rare and difficult. So the distance you can jump is limited by the size of your engine, and early ships are going to have small engine sizes. It becomes extremely difficult to do 4 or more jumps. So setting something 4 or more jumps away from something is a pretty good way to ensure that no one gets there. So right away I want to move this here, and that's going to give us a little bit of thing to work with. See, if we move this here, it's now 3 jumps from these 2 side sectors. This can be the trading side. This can be the mercenary side. Now, not necessarily. I'll have to take a look at these individual worlds and see what kind of tags they have. All right. So let's start with Philemon. Oh, they're all in alphabetical. Oh, no, that's a sector name. Say what sector they're in? Uh-oh. That's a problem. Better way to... No? Not really? We got some pre-generated NPCs in case we need it, and some great corporation names with sub-businesses. Lauren Danger, Joker Bonnie, welcome, welcome. Political spectrums. This probably won't be super useful, but maybe it could be. Sacrificial Judaism led by a democracy. Interesting. The syncretic Roman Catholic Confucianists. That is a lot of words. That's a lot of words. Alright, so I think I'm just going to have to download the sector and then pop it back open. Let's see here. Thank you for the cheer, buddy. Open using Google Chrome. Pop it open right here. Excellent. All right. So this is what I can see, but I can send a version of this to players so that the players can look at it too. I'm curious. Boom. It has a planet called Sagari. Wow, it has an Unbreaked AI and a Preceptor archive. So let's see what those even are. I mean, I know what an Unbreaked AI is. An Unbreaked AI is complete chaos. That's an AI that has become the singularity. It's unstoppably powerful and has no limits on what it can do. So it's kind of terrifying. So let's see here. We're going to World Generation on page 86. Now, if you are following along at home, you can get the Stars Without Numbers book for free, completely free, on DriveThruRPG. Kevin Crawford has made it available. It leaves out robot player characters, or robots in general, and some other small minor things. You can play 95% of the game. Basically all the important stuff without it. So let's see here. Alright, I finally got down to where I want to be. Preceptor Archive. Bloop, 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 bloop. Heavy Industry. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sorry, it's been like a year and a half since I've done one of these, so I'm not going to be very fast at it. The Preceptors of the Great Archive were a pre-silence. The silence is the event that caused all of the psychics to go insane or kill themselves. We're a pre-silence organization devoted to ensuring the dissemination of human culture, history, basic technology to frontier worlds that risk losing this information during human expansion. Most frontier worlds had an archive where natives could learn useful technical skills in addition to human history and art. Those archives that managed to survive the silence now strive to send their missionaries of knowledge to new worlds in need of their lore. Fascinating. I really like that. All right, so what do we got? The atmosphere is corrosive, but temperate. I don't know what immiscible biosphere is, but there's only hundreds of thousands of people, so it's not a huge planet. And it's tech level 4, which makes sense. My first thought is that this Unbreaked AI... I'll read the Unbreaked AI description, and then I'll throw at you my thought about what's going on this planet. Artificial intelligences are costly and difficult to create, requiring a careful sequence of growth stages in order to bring them to sentience, before artificial limits on cognition speed and learning development are installed. These breaks prevent runaway cognition metastasis, wherein an AI begins to rapidly contemplate certain subjects in increasingly baroque fashion, until they become completely crazed by rational human standards. This world has one such unbreaked AI on it, probably with a witting or unwitting core of servants. Unbreaked AI are quite insane, but they learn and reason with a speed impossible for humans and can demonstrate a truly distressing subtlety at all times. All right, yes. You're saying AI is a librarian gone mad with time. I want to throw something at you. In the Stars Without Numbers backstory, there are many sub-stories to Stars Without Numbers, and one of them is about Earth post-silence. On it, one of the AIs that controls the planet was named Pope in the chaos of the silence. It's a religious AI, and people were like, well, the actual Pope is dead. We've got some cardinals. They named the religious zealot of the AI collective the Pope, because he'll survive forever. And so Earth falls to madness and desolation. But there are these silver ships with robot servitors called paladins that show up with swords and guns and land to help people get to safety, because the Roman Catholic Pope robot AI is just like, cool, we're paladins now. We're going to go save people because the Bible says so. I feel like it'd be cool if there was something like that here. Like, the whole planet is an AI that was unleashed and now has devoted itself to preserving human history. So the rest of the worlds are all like, you know, what's Earth, right? It's been 1,000 years to the silence, and then another 700 past that. 1,700 years since anybody's seen Earth or something like that. Well, it's 3,200. And people leave around 2665. So yeah, it's been 700 or more years since anyone's heard from Earth. Earth is a myth, right? Earth is King Arthur. This AI is like, no, Earth is real. Here's all of the cultures that have ever happened. And by the way, can I see all of your records so I can process them and then file index them? And then, yeah, it wants to learn everything about everyone at all times. So, I think that's where I'm going to go with that. I think I can edit these things. Is there a way to edit? Cool. Cultural notes. Where do I need to put these? I need to put it. Let's see how this lines up. Alright, so it's things and then stuff after things. So let's try to match that. Things, double. Okay. So after that we do double color. Where's my pound key? FF0000. It did that. Do we have a name for this AI, guys? Do we have a name for an immortal big brother AI librarian who's like a religious cultural nut job? Just all they care about is knowing everything everyone has ever done ever and making sure everyone else knows about all of those things. Now, while you might not care about what staying your neighbor is doing in the shower, the AI does and has... Ooh, Horus, I like that one. AI Horus runs the planet with an army of cultural service bots disseminating perfect knowledge of all mankind's gathered resources, gathered intellectual, expand this knowledge base, spread it to other planets. So it doesn't it doesn't want to take over other planets. It doesn't care about acquiring them into an empire. What it does care about is learning everything about them and then making sure they know everything about everything. It's a militant teacher. I guess it's a little bit like the Mandarin from Iron Man 3, just not like a bad villain. I do like the kind of religious overtone the Mandarin had. But that's just like the AI on it. So what about the people? I mean, what kind of culture are we looking at here? Is there like a... Does this planet have a racial slash religious slash social background? I mean, Sagari seems... Philemon and Sagari seem like they have something. But... Alright, just to be clear, in this sector of the galaxy, in this specific collective right here, from Maduri to Hanan, all of these places are just getting back on their feet in terms of space travel. Like, either they haven't jumped to other planets yet, or they've only done it a couple times. I want to have a burgeoning universe of 6 or 7 sectors that the players can explore and literally be like, hey, we're the first ones who've ever come here. Or you show up and they're like, oh, great, there's another new sector out there where the place where you guys came from. Because the players are traders. Not traitors, traders. Abusively demanding in its requirements. I mean, I don't want it to be an evil AI. Like, I don't want it to be bad. It specifically is, it serves humanity. That's what it does. Now, I feel like there's probably, like, sub-robot factions within its core, right? Like, it has gathered an army of robots to it. And probably there's, like, a shadowy, evil Palpatine robot that has, like, a secret police division that's trying desperately to do the AI's work while keeping the AI from finding out the lengths they're going to. You know what? We actually need some music going on here. I haven't heard all these tracks, so I want to listen to them. By the way, welcome, Radisaurus. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully I don't mess this up. Oh, cool. It actually did work. Yeah. I do want to jump back, though. I don't know that this... So, actually, it feels weird to have a culture from this planet, right? It specifically is a planet that was designated as a cultural survival zone. So it's probably not just like everyone here is Chinese, right? That would be weird. It's probably a huge mixing pot of languages and races. Literally every language humanity has ever developed would be spoken on this planet because the AI knows it all and has been spamming it at people constantly. Probably almost everyone who lives here is like a multilinguist. You know, knowing 2 or 3 languages is not unheard of. Person who built robots to protect humanity. The robots found the best way to protect them was to destroy them. Yeah, but again, I really don't want them to be destroyed. Yeah, like Palpatine bot. Evil underlord. Alright, so that's Philemon. So we're just doing, again, right here. Before we start the merchant prep, we need to just take a look at all the worlds and get an idea what's going on in that area. I do want to figure out what immiscible biosphere means, so I'm going to go jump to that. Corrosive atmosphere. Alright, so this is probably like a bubble city place, right? Because in the corrosive atmosphere means you need a force field, which the planet literally can't have. It's not high enough technology. Or like breathing suits and vacuum suits to live in. So there's probably like bubble cities and stuff like that, which explains the small population. Alright, cold worlds, blah, blah, blah. Biospheres, okay. Immiscible biospheres are not friendly to humans. The local plants are animal. No, none of the local plants and animals are edible, and anything the colony needs to eat will have to be grown from Terran stock. Worse, it is common for pollen or microbial life in these worlds to be highly allergenic to humans. Yep, this place is totally going to be like underground city. It's probably their disaster shelters on our world, literally right now, that are built in like the Arctic, that are sunk into the ground, and they contain seed stock and knowledge of human life. It's like if most of humanity is destroyed, or if all of humanity is destroyed, if something comes along, we'll still have records. And this whole world is probably that. Everyone lives in like underground or bubble cities, in a perfectly controlled environment where the AI keeps an eye on everything. On everything. It knows when you missed your last checkup or didn't go to work. Alright, so how do I do this? I close. Good. Alright, now I'm closing Philemon and opening Arcturus. Is that right? In the Gatare system. Area 51 Badlands worlds. Well, Area 51, I think, is a world where the people on the planet refuse to admit that other life exists. But let's double check. The world's government is fully aware of their local stellar neighbors, but the common populace has no idea about it. And the government means to keep it that way. Trade with government officials is in remote locations as possible, but any attempt to clue the commoners into the truth will be met with lethal reprisals. In a trading game, that sounds amazing. Like, when they come to this planet, the government's going to be like, follow this flight plan or we will destroy you. Alright, so it's also Tech Level 4, which makes it interesting. The population is a... failed colony. Does that mean everybody on board is dead? Or that there's only a few people left? I want to double check on that before I start making up a story for this world. Alien civilizations, hundreds of thousands, billions, tens of thousands. Failed colonies are occasionally found dotting the worlds of human space. Someday pirate attacks might have wiped out the young colony. A few survivors might have hung to life. Okay. A few survivors might have clung to life. So, let's write something up about this planet. We need to check that. Cultural notes. It's also a Badlands world, so I feel like I'm going to make it Texas. I'm going to make it Texas. Oh, no, it's going to be like New Spain. Like New Mexico, but like New Mexico. New Spain. But it's still going to have a kind of Texas, Mexico, southerny feel. Are there any aliens in this galaxy? I'm not sure. There probably will be, but only on worlds that have alien tags. Whatever the climate and atmosphere type, something horrible happened on this world. Biological, chemical, or nanotechnical weaponry has reduced it to a wretched hellscape. Well, it's a human, mystical, temperate biosphere, so I feel like thick atmosphere need a pressure mask. Alright. So, this is a world. Terraformed world where weather generation went wrong and the majority of the population were killed by a sudden freak rise in atmospheric density. Life is only possible in vac suits, pressure masks. A few thousand survivors remain in the former capital of New Spain. And its governor, Harold Gouda, as you said Gouda, so I'm gonna Gouda and his cronies are aware of local interstellar space travel. But, oh, I like this but. Okay. Think of it this way. The guy who's in charge of the planet knows that if these people could get off this planet after the hundreds of years of living here, they would get up and go. They would get up and go. And this guy wants to still be in charge. He wants to still be in charge. So, he and his cronies are like, all right, hey, spaceship, you want to land on the planet? You have to do it here or we'll destroy you. And all of your goods go through the government. So the government's probably like, oh, look at these sweet new goods we've got. Yeah, we have a new secret factory we opened up using robot labor. Yep. Keep the populace in the dark. They are extremely corrupt and use the cover of secret robot labor factories. Provide off-world luxury goods for themselves and close relatives. Relations. Ships not following flight path are destroyed in orbit. And then I need to end it with a double. Cool. I'm Governor Harold Gouda of the Intendancy of New Spain. I am the governor here, administrator of this colony. And if you don't like it, you can go straight to the 7th of 7 hells. Hanan. Close this. And it's called Papa Michael. Alright, they have tech level 3, 20th level technology. So, cell phones, but not smartphones. Breathable mix, temperate, but immiscible atmosphere. I'm sorry, immiscible biosphere, so the planet doesn't like them. They live in bubble cities, which is interesting. Pre-tech habitat technology. Alright, so given this, they live in like TL5, like extremely advanced floating cities that maintain themselves in a kind of. I think there was a thing on Netflix recently, an anime about that. I might need some help here. All right, the other thing is they love using forbidden tech, and let me tell you what forbidden tech is, in its own words. Some group on this planet fabricates or uses maltech. Unbraked AIs doomed to metastasize into insanity. Nation destroying nano warfare particles, slow burn DNA corruptives, genetically engineered slaves, or something worse still. The planet's larger population may or may not be aware of the danger in their midst. I feel like it's probably the planet's primary, like, gene engineered slave sounds pretty interesting, especially when you live in bubble cities and you can't make more of them. Probably there's a ruling class that wants like perfect servants, like extremely handsome or beautiful, not smart enough to rebel, but just smart enough to do their jobs perfectly, that kind of thing. And so they, they like have automatic weapon guns, but no lasers. I feel like anti-spaceship weapons, probably the cities are all like set to run themselves, right? Like they're very highly advanced tech. What kind of forbidden tech would you have at 20th century? Oh, they probably work with like viruses and stuff, right? They're probably like highly biological. Yeah. Keep throwing ideas at me though, guys. Bubble cities, no anti-space weapon. I do like the idea of it not having any space weapons, actually. Because that means that other people will be able to come in and aggressively negotiate with them. Alright. I need a name for this place. The capital... I'm sorry, the system planet is called Papa Michael, but we need a name for the capital. We also need a cultural basis. Some religion. Well, it doesn't seem very religious, but we need some sort of ethnic background or backgrounds for them to come from. So, immense floating cities left over from the screen. Extremely high technology level runs the city and removes resources from planet to keep running. Residents have only limited access to facilities like production, and so have made a life for themselves with 20th century technology. No lasers, etc. They are extremely proficient biologists and chefs, creating new life forms for study, consumption, and testing. The majority of the population are gene engineered willing slaves to a noble class of like Kievan Roos. Oh, interesting. Monte Carlo. I like that. The Monte Carlo. In the capital of Kievan Roos. And they're kind of vaguely Russianish. So probably like Poland, Scandinavia, Finland, Norway, Russian, that kind of deal. Oh boy, I'd love it if they were communist too. That would be fantastic. They're like a weird mix of 1920s American like big band swingers combined with like ushankas. Like they go to jazz clubs and like whatever the new musical craze is, and like very glamorous what was the White Russians, the Cossacks? Yeah, but they're all super communist. Like the city itself provide. Oh, that's true. The city, like they only have limited access, right? None of them are programmers. They don't know how to use the city. They don't know how to access any of its secrets. And so the city like provides them what they need to live off of. They all get like one packet of meals a day and enough water to live off of, but they can't like hop a grav lift to the bridge to redirect the city. So they just drive around it in cars that they've made and go to dance clubs that they've co-opted out of a building. And so they're all like literally equal. They have their servants like try to use their gene engineered experiments. They try to make new plants in order to distill more alcohol. Man, that's really good. I love it. All right, that's what's happening. And the primary government are called the Monte Carlans. I really like that, the Monte Carlans. It also kind of plays on the fact that a Monte Carlo simulation, this is kind of a scientific / engineering term, but Monte Carlo simulations, when you brute force something and you repeat an experiment thousands or millions of times in order to get a baseline average of what happens. And I mean, these guys are all biological scientists. They do Monte Carlo simulations all the time. They probably have to, you know, test their plants a lot or test their new slave batch, you know, like, oh, I think this is an efficient slave batch, but, you know, let's make 1,000 of them and see if any of them get thoughts of rebellion. And if they do, purge the whole bunch. Yeah, they're probably, they're going to have a weird morality. What? Why is it all crossed off? Oh, it's probably this. Let's remove that. Welcome, friend, to Kievan Rus. I am glorious comrade leader. No, there wouldn't be a leader. I am glorious comrade greeter. Iosef Montecarlan. This is my wife, Anastasia Montecarlan. Communist brave new world. Exactly. I like it. And there's only a couple thousand of these people anyway. They're vastly outnumbered by their entirely happy gene-engineered slaves. To be clear, they're not good people. Alright, so let's close that up. Canaan. Nope, we already did that one. Okay. Torah. This might be the planet that the players are from. No, it's tech level 3. I need a TL4 planet for them to be from. Sharifa. Nope, still not from the player. Protagoria. Okay. Minimal contact TL4. This is perfect for the players to come from. Let's start there. Minimal contact, rigid culture. Invasive toxic atmosphere. This is a horrible place to live. Let's double check on what exactly that means. Protagoria. Immiscible, microbial. Hybrid? Is that a thing? I don't see it here. Oh, hybrid is the stable intermixing of terra, flora, and fauna with local life forms. Most such worlds have been colonized for centuries, giving the local ecology time to shake out a relatively stable configuration. Okay, cool. So if there's aliens, this is going to be the world that they're from. And this is probably going to be the place the players are from. So, cool. It is invasive toxic atmosphere. Invasive atmospheres are the very worst of what human society can tolerate, combining all the worst traits of eroding, corrosive atmosphere and the invasive intrusion of toxic molecules. A planet cursed with an atmosphere is far more hostile than a merely airless rock. Hydroponic, anything. Yep, they're going to get contaminated. Oh, sorry. Invasive toxic. There we go. Substantial portions of molecules small enough to infiltrate past seals of vac suits. The infiltration doesn't harm the suit, but the molecules have to be flushed out of a system's purification centers before they build up to debilitating levels. Causes a faster bleed of air as breathing oxygen is jettisoned. Invasive oxygens make it even more important resource. Interesting. So how would they live? This is curious. Let's look to the world tags to see what we can figure out from here. Government type, blah blah blah, flavor, minimal contact. The locals refuse contact with most off-worlders. Only a small quarantine treaty port is provided for off-world trade, and ships can expect an exhaustive search for contraband. Local governments may be trying to keep the very existence of interstellar trade a secret from their populations, or they may consider off-worlders too dangerous or repugnant to be allowed with the population. Interesting. And rigid culture is probably going to be somewhat horrifying. Rigid culture. The local culture is extremely rigid. Certain forms of behaviors and belief are absolutely mandated, and deviation from these principles is punished, or else society may be strongly stratified by birth with limited prospects for change. Anything that threatens existed social order is feared and shunned. Interesting. Interesting. Reformist temples, time-worn palaces, reactionaries, Puritans. They're saying Puritans. Cool. Culture is run by a secret cabal of manipulators. I feel like maybe it's not so secret. Maybe it's just like a really Puritan government that's like, we have to keep our air pure. We have to keep our soil pure. We have to keep our cultural pure. I really just want to say Purity Initiative, but that's so ripped off of Swan Song. So German, Pennsylvania, Dutch, Puritan. Yeah, there's probably not aliens on this planet. Well, no. I mean, the aliens are part of the local culture now. We'll see what kind of aliens live in this sector. Oh, they aren't listed here. So what it makes society rigid? Probably there's like a concept of purity is rooted in planet centrism. If it's not here, it's all wrong. I'll praise this place. Interesting. I like that. The planet believes they are the only ones to have survived the Scream, which makes sense because it's where the players are from and they will have never left here before. Therefore, survival of the fittest. They must be the most pure and worthy to inherit the galaxy. The government has interpreted some arcane religious scriptures to say that the existing culture is prophesized, or was, because it already is, was prophesized. I spelled that so wrong. Prophecies, sure. Whatever you want to autocorrect. At this time, here and now, is the ultimate expression of life. For 700 years, life has little changed except to recognize the dwindling natural resources of the planet. Asteroid belt is mined out. Ships scavenged. And without new industrial blood, the world will slip into technological darkness. However, a conservative element runs the government and refuses to acknowledge this quandary. All right, so that gives us a overarching semi-religious government, but also allows for reactionaries and rebels and all of that stuff, because they're going to be like, yo, man, for real, the planet is going to die unless we get this stuff. Cool. So let's close. Gold rush and a pilgrimage site. All right, so pilgrimage site's pretty straightforward. I wonder what religion we're going to put here. This world is noted for an important spiritual or historic location. It might be the sector headquarters for a widespread religious or political movement. The site attracts wealthy pilgrims from throughout nearby space, and those with the money necessary to manage interstellar travel have been quite generous to the site and its keepers. The locals tend to be fiercely protective of the place and its reputation, and some places forbid entrance to those not suitably pious or devout. Interesting. And the other one is Gold Rush. So probably there's something on the planet everybody wants. Gold, silver, or other conventional precious metals are common and cheap now that asteroid mining is practical for most worlds. But some minerals and compounds remain precious and rare, and this world has recently been discovered to have a supply of them. People from across the sector have come here to strike it rich. Ooh, it says native aliens here, so this is going to be an alien world too. I like the idea of this being... Oh, population, alien civilization. Boom, we got it. Planet Sharifa in Zephyropolis. Yep, I got that right. They... everybody is slowly rising back to the sky. Over the last decade, people are making their way there. The heroes of our story will come from the Mathuri sector. They'll make the jump over to here and be like, oh, cool, there are other planets. And they aren't as oppressive as our shitty government. And now we can go trade with people. And everybody needs things from Sharifa. They all want to come here to buy unobtainium in order to make spike drives. Whatever it is that makes spike drives and help make ships is going to be this particular. So let's see here, Lauren. So will the players be a mix of those looking to prop up the system and save the planet, or those who are trying to escape the oppression? I'm going to leave that for the players to decide. I mean, they're leaving the world on the last spike drive possible ship, and if their plan is to come back and to help raise the planet up, that's a thing they can do. It's a thing they can literally do. In the book Sons of Gold, raising a planet to another tech level or attempting to influence its culture and government, is a thing you can do by building buildings on that planet, businesses that literally do that thing. They're called the Prometheus Institute, and they help raise people up to a different way of thinking by being like, but have you considered communism, friend? Let me hand you a pamphlet about it. It's a business that the players leave behind in order to make a world more to their liking and help their business interests. Okay, so this is a planet that, I mean, they're literally asteroid miners riding rockets. Oh god, they probably have like an old shipyard. I like it. All right, let's run from here. We're gonna need to make an alien race. An alien race. Just pick an element from the upper end of the periodic table for unobtainium. Some rare mineral is extremely prevalent in the asteroid belts of this system, and the rocket miners, minor aliens of the planet, have quite a bit of trade is brisk, but the supply is rapidly running low. Numerous business opportunities and racist pro-human groups are edging dangerously into the system using their superior technology and the threat of orbital bombardment to establish their own space stations, mining exclusive zones, and militaries. So this is a planet in dire need of help, right? The aliens here are kind of like a peaceful miner people. They love going up into space in their rockets. They're not very good at doing things. But they also don't care. They're, yeah, squid people, sure, squid people. They're just happy to be alive after, you know, so many have died. They're great. They're oh man, what kind of religion is here? They probably have taken up. Let's talk about that. What human religion would appeal to these peaceful squid people that mine using their rocket ships? So, since the Scream, they've literally had the same technology level. They just kind of go up into space, mine stuff, because they like to, you know, look at shiny rocks and stuff. And they've got plenty of rocket fuel, and it's no big deal to them. Do they have their own religion and other people are coming here because they like it? Or is it a human religion that they've adopted? Taoism. I'm gonna... We have the ability to look at... Oh, here we go. Alien races and religions. Yeah, let's take a look at that. Oh, shoot. I can't do that. I have to close it. The sun is a deadly laser. Alright, I'm going to write this down because I got to remember to come back to it. System is Thora and Zephyr. Alien races. What's a happy alien race? Democratic, monarchic. Joy and curiosity. I feel like these people are the ones. The Turger. They have 7 limbs, including a tail and eye spots. They are going to be our squid people. They're born relentless bon vivants, constantly in pursuit of pleasure and enjoyable excitement. And they like looking at stuff. They have a small number of representatives. Okay, so they've got like a queen mother type thing, and then like a parliamentary court, but everyone's elected. That's weird. There's probably like a small subdivision of things going on. Like, oh yeah, it's probably just multiple cultures. They don't all live under the same government. Oh, it even lists them as being from Shafira. Cool. Excellent. But now we need a religion. And that religion is... The sun is a deadly laser. Edit. Squid people. Turger. It's Torbjorn. Native American shamanism. Taoism. Paganism. Indus River Valley civilization. I mean, Taoism is pretty... Quietus Taoist. What's this about? The faith shuns the outside world and involvements in affairs. Nope, that's not going to be these guys. We need something that's about enjoying life. Sadly, I don't know that there's a lot of religions that do that. Ideology. Democracy? New Prophet Hinduists. Huh. Being a hateful person is against the religion. Maybe. I don't know that Hindu's particularly a happy religion. I'm having a lot of trouble thinking of a happy religion. I do kind of like this Taoism thing that we've got going on, though. Take a look at the other ones. Holy Family. Ism. Nope. Reconciled the major elements of its origins. Hindu Taoists. Interesting. I mean, I don't like the idea of them being nihilists because they're trying to be happy. Pleasing God now. And I'm really getting hung up on this. See this one. I've never heard this one before. Sun shines upon you. I wonder if they're a variant of like Unitarian Universalism. Kind of like that. But probably only because I'm a Unitarian Universalist. Probably gonna have to write a whole new religion for these guys. So let's go with, it'll probably be a moral, shamanistic. Well, oh yeah, it'll probably just be called like syncretic. What's the new thing for Native Americans? Nami? I don't remember what it is. The Iris movement from over. Oh, I really like that one. Yep. It's just called Iris. Like the ones that Genji and Zenyatta follow. Yep, I'm gonna go with that. Perfect. Open your mind's eye. Perfect. Happy fun time religion. It's catching on with interstellar tourists insanely. Humans haven't. I like the idea that all of the surviving human religions are like, you know, oppressive, kind of. They've had to survive in darkness without other worlds for 700 years, and most of these worlds are kind of shitty to live on for the most part. They all have some very serious problems. And so their religions are very rough. And then they hear about the Schoolwood people, the Turger, and they're like, what? There's a religion that's about, like, living life and having fun and going to France? This is crazy. And so they all keep going there to go see, you know, the great Turger structures and the holy city and all that stuff. All right, so our last, and this is the first planet the players are going to encounter, is Thora 7. It is an airless world with millions of inhabitants, with a tech level of 3, so 1900s technology. Exchange constant. I don't know what that is. Is that the exchange of light? Welcome, English Mudkip. I think if it's an exchange of light thing, that would play in very well with how I want it to open. Yep, the exchange of light once served as the largest, most trusted banking and diplomatic service in human space. Even after the silence, some worlds retain a functioning exchange consulate where banking service and arbitration can be maintained. Perfect. I really like that. because I wanted the players to run up against the exchange fairly early on in the campaign and become super jaded with how they work. So in Sons of Gold, it works a little bit like the economy does in real life. I'll go into more depth once we jump into it, which will be shortly, in a few minutes. I do still need to mess around with the military side of things, but maybe I'll save that for when I do the military side of things as a prep. Wait, is this planet called Hip Style? Hip? Oh no, Hip Sip. Oof. I'll get there. Hip Siply. Hip Siply. Hip Hop Anonymous? Um, when jumping back to how interstellar exchange works, just having a giant pile of money is meaningless, right? These worlds are just getting back into contact with each other, but even if they weren't, bulk freighters carry so much monetized cargo. You're literally talking about the wealth of worlds here. It won't be unreasonable for the players to go to a place like Zaf, the Zapharopolis system, land on Sharifa, pick up a whole bunch of that rare mineral that people need in order to make new spaceships, and dump it over on another planet. But when they do that, they're going to be destroying the local economy, right? Like, inflation is going to spike. And all they're going to get is local world credits, which are worthless on other planets. People from the Hanan system don't want to have money from the people from the Gadare system. It takes a week to go from one system to another. And, you know, what if they go to war? Then the credits are worthless. What you need to exchange is goods. The exchange of light tries to secure such transactions as like an interstellar commerce thing, but because they're not really around anymore, they're not very good at it. And even if they were, you know, it's one thing to have like $10, but what do you do with $10 million, right? You don't just like sit down at a restaurant and not like, I have $10 million that I want to exchange for your restaurant food. You've got to subdivide it into more useful units. If you could play a monster in a D&D campaign, what would it be and why? Have a good night, Daniel. English Mudkip. My answer to you is I would play a Lich. Liches are extremely powerful spellcasters who are smart enough to continue their own lives after death. They tend to be very charming, charismatic, and care for little else, but continuing to do their arcane experiments. So let's look at the other tag that this planet has, which is Cold War. 2 or more great powers control this planet, and they have a hostility to each other that's just barely less than open warfare. Hostility might be ideological in nature, or might revolve around control of some local resource. So, the exchange of light is based off of a kind of neo-Buddhist movement. So I think it's probably going to be a vaguely Asian Indian population. What's some place we haven't been to yet? Ooh, the Middle East. I really like the idea of opposed by Pakistani, Middle East. Kind of Muslim, Jewish, Christian mix versus the... So a very Eastern versus Western religion slash racial mix on planet. And so over the years, this mix has gotten worse and worse. The exchange of light is extremely corrupt. Its original mission has been overtaken by extreme bureaucrats. That is not how you spell bureaucrats, but fortunately that's what autocorrect's for. Ah, there we go. I spelled bureau completely wrong. A lich that flies on a necro dragon? Well, I've actually been there and done that before. I died instantly as soon as I did it. It's horrible. So, yeah, there's probably a lot going on this planet. I like it. All right. So, That covers the prep for the Sons of Gold, just the Stars Without Numbers side. But now we need factions, and this is where things are going to get weird. So, here's my faction sheet. Asset table, no, faction tracker. Alright, the game's going to have quite a lot to say about factions. I feel like the Exchange of Light is almost certainly going to be a faction. Monte Carlans are probably also going to be a faction. Let's take a look here. Yeah, let's put those things down. Exchange of Light. Monte Carlans. What else do we have going on that sounded pretty interesting? I want there to be some very serious conflict over the planet of Sharifa. So there's gonna be a kind of globalist conglomeration of people moving in on them, right? So on one side it's gonna be the Sharifan government. And on the other side, it's going to be some sort of mega corporation. You know, it's like a shell corp for a bunch of smaller corporations. They hate each other, but they're only working together because it gives them better leverage against the business prisons. Let's go for asteroid mining. Asteroid mining. Nathaniel Sodality. I don't know what the heck a Sodality is. What the heck is a Sodality? Reliable and trustworthy goods. To have a cash appreciate. I like Caesar Zaibatsu. I'm gonna go with that. Because I like the implication of Zaibatsus. Adulahan being brought back to bring justice on those who wrong them. It's a good one. We probably need one or two more factions. So let's look over the local area and see who's... Close. Open. Papa Michael. These are the Bubble City people. They're the key. They're the Monte Carlans. So not them. We've already got them as a faction. What's going on Actorus? I don't think people that don't leave their world are gonna be a faction. I feel like they probably are gonna not be involved. That might be all the factions we have. Oh, the AI. Of course. Horus is his own faction. He's literally a world god. Alright, cool. Horus. Okay, so we need to start dividing up these faction ratings. Aside from these 6 statistics, factions, blah, 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 actions during a turn, faction assets, faction goals. Where's the part where it tells you how to make a new faction? I feel like I must have missed that somewhere in here. I mean, Sawfang seems like the kind of guy it's a good plan to ask to be in one of his games. He's very, very high energy about making new stuff. One to 8. I'm not seeing the thing where it tells you how to make a new faction. It's crazy. Faction goals. Leveling up a faction. You're following along at home. I'm on page 117 right now. Bumbling around. Maybe it's after the assets page? I don't know. Feeling pretty lost. Nope, that's tags. can't believe I'm missing this. Alright, I guess I'm gonna have to read intensely. Sorry, guys. The element fermium, developed in the first hydrogen bomb in 1952, has a half-life of 100 days. May be the key to spike drives. Alright, excellent. I'm doing it, Lauren. I'm gonna go over to the planet Sharifa and put down that fermium. Is that named after Richard Feynman? No, that doesn't sound right. Fermium alloy. I mean, that way we can be like, it's fermium, but special fermium. You can only get on this planet. You can throw alloy in front of everything. I don't like this music. It's pretty dumb. I'm gonna jump off and go to someplace else. Give me with some Forbidden Galaxy. Alright, back to trying to find out how to make a new faction. Alright, let's... That didn't work. You're right, alloy does mean man-made bonding. Isotope. Oop, that's not the right one. Fermium isotope. That's the word I'm looking for. Boop, 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 boop. Alright, what is a faction? Blah, blah. Faction statistics. Alright, I'm literally just gonna Google this at this point. It's getting ridiculous. Stars without number. Creating a faction. Stars without numbers. Factions. Faction and asset tracker. Alright. Let's see here. Primary asset. I'm not finding it. I can't believe I'm missing this over and over again. Creating factions for a sector. Wow, it's not even in the factions section. Holy cow. That's why I've missed it so many times. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that wait, guys. Messed up so bad. Okay. Minor factions should have 4 in their most powerful attribute. Their secondary is 1 less than their primary, and their tertiary is 1 less than that. So the Exchange of Light is going to have 4 cunning. I'm sorry, 4 wealth, 3 cunning, and 1 force. You know, we should probably make whatever the government that fights against the Exchange of Light, we should make them a thing. The Monte Carlans are going to have high cunning rating. A good military... Oh, no, they only have tech level 1, so their thing is bad. The Sharifans also have 1 force level. Their wealth is probably very good. The Caesar Zaibatsu are literally holding the area by force. And Horus is a AI, so its cunning level is out of control, but it is not very rich. I don't know why it's giving some of these things HPs, not others. Okay. Calculate a faction's hit points. Minor powers have 15. Minor powers get 1 asset in their primary and 1 asset in a different attribute. So each of these are going to have 2. Okay. Faction tags for an organization, 1 fitting their special focus and origin. So Exchange of Light is a world government, so they get the planetary... Oh, no, that's gold. Oops. They get the tags. Planetary government. And their homeworld is... over here. Homeworld is 0101. And go. We'll get on the goal in a minute. Monte Carlans, their location is... Nope, not Arcturus. They are the Papamycilians. Yep. They are located in the Hanan System 0004. And they are also a planetary government. What does the Exchange of Light get? Is there an actual exchange consultant tag? What does that do? Once per turn, this faction can roll an additional d10 when making... That doesn't sound right. Well, you know what? We will wipe the tag and figure out what the actual tag is in a minute. The Sharifans are also a planetary government, as is Horus, which makes Caesar Zaibatsu the only one not on the list, which is fine. The Sharifans and Caesar Zaibatsu are both going to be in Zarif, so 0102. And Horus is located in Sagari 0002. Okay. All right. Let's look at faction tags now. Planetary government means that only that they can make stuff. Mercenary group. This faction sells its services to the highest bidder and is an extremely mobile organization. Vast amounts of material can be moved interstellar distances in just a few months. That might stick for Caesar Zaibatsu, since they are literally... Oh, imperialists. This faction has wild dreams of controlling the sector, whether out of impulse to bring out their local culture and technology to a less fortunate world, or simple lust for domination. They excel at defeating planetary defenses and standing armies. This faction may roll an extra d10 for attacks made as part of a seized planet action. Yep, that's going to be Caesar Zaibatsu. They are imperialist for sure. Does it give the thing that they get when they do that? Let's copy this. And their goal is going to be seizing the planet. Planetary seizure. They are going to attempt to... Their notes. Does that work? Yes. And their goal is... Seize Sharifa. They're going to be chipping away at Sharifa, attempting to take the government down. Okay. Exchange Consulate is also a faction. Okay, so Exchange of Light is going to have Exchange Consulate as a thing. So whenever it completes a peaceable kingdom goal, may roll a d6 to add extra experience points. Once per turn, the faction may add an extra d10 when defending against a wealth attack. All of that works out really good for them. Oops. Move that all the way over here so that it doesn't clash with other things. And their goal is going to be peaceable kingdom. They don't give a crap about other stuff. We'll get the goals put in there. The Legion's Council. All right, cool. They're being added in. And they are going to have a good time. We need to clear all these notes. Good. Where were we? Oh, and Legion's Council is located at 101. This is still from the last time I did this. Keeping the notes around. Clear them all. Not letting me clear it, huh? I know. Exciting spreadsheet actions. Exciting, in-depth spreadsheet action. Legion's Council is also a planetary government. And then we need to find another tag for them. They want to control the world, but I don't feel like Imperialist is going to work well for them because they're also an underground group trying to defeat their other side without actually... I like warlike. Militant organization. Yep. Do it. Once per turn, this faction can roll an additional d10 when making a force attack. It's going to make their force attacks very, very powerful. Okay. Horus. Interesting. He is Preceptor Archive. So I feel like he should literally have the Preceptor Archive tag because he's an AI that attempts to spread human knowledge. Purchasing an action that requires tech level 4 or more costs 1 fewer faction cred than normal. Preceptor Archive may take a special action, teach planetary population, costs 2 fat creds and allows them to roll 1d12 for one world. On a 12, the world's tech level permanently becomes 4 for the purposes of purchases of this faction. Yup, that's going to be Horus, alright. That's literally what he does. Rolls around trying to enlighten everyone around him. Cool. How can you be imperialist? Great question. The answer is, this is the richest of the rich. Caesar Zaibatsu are people from other systems, specifically humans, who have come to Sharifa and are like, hey, You're a tech level 3 world with 20th century technology. We have fucking spaceships with lasers and missiles and nuclear bombs and shit that makes nuclear bombs look small. We're just gonna take this ore, and you can't stop us. So they are quite literally imperialist, and they're going to attempt to take over the government by probably murdering a bunch of aliens. So it's not that spike drives are new. I mean, they've been around for a couple of years, 10 at the most. But only the, like, bleeding edge of people, the 1% of the 1%, have access to them. And those that do essentially become governments or extremely wealthy gods. Who else needs a tag? The Monte Carlans need a tag. They are plutocratic. They attempt to maintain what they have. Well, no, they're communist. I don't know that plutocratic is good. They do Machiavellian. Interesting. Scheme and plot. And I gave them a good amount of cunning, so that works for them. So whenever they use cunning attacks, they get bonus dice, which really does work out quite well for them. Sharifins. They're cool dudes. Oh, there's actually a eugenic cult. I'm gonna go with that. Eugenics cult can buy gene-engineered slaves. It's a special asset that doesn't cost that much. And is decent. And you can make a lot of them very cool. Snap, that was bad. Did I accidentally erase? Undo that. And then undo it again. There we go. And now I didn't erase. Slave-engineered humanoids and deathless leadership are two common alternatives to unstable, dangerous scientist clone armies. Yep. Yep, this is exactly what we need. Okay. Chorus. Yep, we've got it all. All right. So now each of these... Oh, we need goals for all of them as well. Let's look at the goals. Peggy, Angelica, Eliza. Get to the city just to see all the guys. Work, work. Angelica. Eliza and Peggy. Tyler sisters. What is a faction? Blah, blah, blah. Ratings, actions. We don't need actions. We need faction goals. Okay, military conquest is destroying a certain number of enemy assets. Caesar Zaibatsu is planetary seizure. Take control of the planet, becoming a legitimate government. Difficulty equal to half the average of the current rating. If the planet lacks any opposing forces... So they are going to have difficulty. What's the average of 4, 3, and 1? Is 8. Divided by 3 is 2. Okay, so... difficulty 2. Target is 102. If they destroy all assets of the Sharifan government and then destroy the... Well, when they've destroyed all assets of the Sharifan government, they'll destroy the base of influence and have taken it over. Alright, Lauren, have fun going outside to train with swords in the middle of the night. That's cool. Peaceful Kingdom, what is that? Peaceful Kingdom is not listed here? That doesn't sound right. Oh, Peaceful Kingdom. Launch no attacks on rival factions for 4 turns. Only defend. Difficulty 1. Okay. 2 different factions are doing that. Horus is probably going to do that for the first 4 months as they discover more and more different factions, and then it's going to launch some sort of attempt to expand its influence. 8, 11 here, and sunny outside. You're crazy. Well, Lauren, I'm glad you dropped by. Thanks for coming. Enjoy your outside time. The Legion's Council is going to want to do a intelligence coup. They're in a cold war with their enemy. Intelligence coup is destroy a number of cunning assets of a rival faction equal to your faction's cunning rating. So they need to destroy... Oh no, the enemy doesn't have that many. Ooh, that's not good. Destroy a rival faction. Inflict a number of hit point damage on an enemy faction equal to your force's total. Okay, so blood the enemy is going to be the idea of... Is there anything else? Like... Nope. I'm going to go with blood the enemy. So they need to deal 8 points of damage. So they need to hit the exchange of light for 8 points of damage, which isn't going to be super hard given how warlike these dudes are, but we'll see. Who are we missing? Planetary seizure. Sharif and government would very much like to stay alive and not be dead. Commercial expansion. No, that involves attacking other people. Wealth of Worlds. Spend faction creds equal to 4 times your faction's wealth rating on bribes and influence. The money is lost, but the goal is considered accomplished. The faction's wealth rating must increase before this goal can be selected again. Interesting. I feel like that's the Sharif and government's attempt. And they need to spend 4 times their wealth rating, so they need to spend 16. And once they've spent 16 on improving their own social welfare, they're gonna get a little bit of XP. Monte Carlans need a goal. They control the government. They don't really know of anything going on. I feel like they're probably just going to do Peaceable Kingdom. Okay. Asset tracker. Owners. So each of these guys gets 2 assets apiece. 1 primary and 1 other. And they are limited by the level of that asset. The Legion's Council. Cool. Alright. Oh, and they all need to have a base of influence. Let's put that down here. Influence, base influence. And then let's look up specifically the things we need to do for base of influence. Is there a clear note? Nope. Okay. Base of influence. Assets are special and are required to purchase or upgrade units on... Oh, snap. They actually don't all have base of influences. Because the Caesar Zaibatsu are not a planetary government. so they don't get one. Any damage done to a base of influence is done to the faction hit points. The cost of a base of influence equals its maximum hit points, which can be any number up to the total number of the owning faction. So, their hit points for all of these are 15 out of 15. Okay. Change of light is Hex 101, as is Legion's Council. Monte Carlin's is 4. Tarifa is 102. The Horus is in Sector 2. Oh boy, gotta list the system that they're all in, huh? I don't know about that. We'll leave the system and planet off because there's only one planet and one system in each hex. No need to double up. Alright. Exchange of Light. Their primary asset is wealth. Oh, I can actually just look on these tables down here. Cool. Oops. Wealth. They can get a Wealth 4 unit. Shipping Combine. Shipping Combines allow the transport of large amounts of equipment and personnel. That does nothing for them. Monopoly assets. Stranglehold on the world. As an action, the owners of Monopoly may force one other faction with unstealth to pay them 1 fat cred if the target... That is probably how they maintain their stuff. But let's look at Bank. Banks allow protection loans per turn, can ignore 1 cost or fat cred loss imposed by another. Okay, so it's definitely going to be a Monopoly. The Exchange of Light has a... And this is how they attack the... Does it have the thing here? No. Monopoly has 12 HP. Force one other faction with to pay them. Perfect. They can literally just rake in money every turn by just going to the Legion's Council and forcing them to pay $1. HP is 15. And this is in 101. They also get 1 cunning asset at level 3 or force asset at level 1. I feel like with the Legion's Council in place, they probably want a military asset just to be able to defend. So how about militia unit, security personnel? I like that. And those are able to counterattack. They're able to defend. That's a good pick for them. They are 3. Monte Carlins. These fellows have a rating 4 cunning. Party machine. They are communists. Tripwire cells. Seditionists. Covert shipping isn't very useful. Cyber ninjas. Ooh, cyber ninjas would be, but they kind of just sit on their planet and don't really know about anything. I think Party Machine fits in pretty well and gives them a pretty good boost of money that they can't otherwise make. It kind of fits in the communist lifestyle. In this case, the machine that they're making is like biological weapons. Let's make sure to... include that in the notes. Oh, you know, I did forget to write down how much income everybody has. Shoot. Weird sci-fi noise. Alright. So, income is back creds. Factions. Nope, that's not helping. I don't understand how it's calculating it. What's the formula here? At the beginning of the turn, roll blah blah blah. Faction gains fact creds equal to half their wealth rating rounded up. Plus 1/4. Okay, so any world with a 4 is going to be half is 2 plus 1/4 is going to be 3. So this is going to be 3, 4. Right? No. 4 halved is 2. And then 1/4 of 4 is 1, so that's 3. Alright, so this is going to be 3, and this is going to be 3 as well. Okay. Alright, we got that solved. We got the formula down. Where were we? We were doing assets for the Monte Carlans. Alright. You know, this really should be flipped. There we go. Monte Carlans get a 3 wealth or a 1 force. Post-tech industry. Oh man, that lets them get even more credits. Or a laboratory. Presence in the laboratory allows assets to be purchased as if at tech level 4 and plus 2 fat creds. Excellent. That is what they're going to do because that lets them buy tech level 4 stuff even though they don't have it. Laboratory. And they purchase PL4 assets at plus 2 fat creds. So this represents them being able to subvert the computer that controls their lives. These are the people that fly on the floating bubble cities. When they're able to get temporary control of it, they're like, build me a spaceship. And that the computer's like, cool, bring me extra materials to do that with, citizen comrade. And so they do, in their laboratories. Kind of makes sense. All right. Where was I? Oh yeah, some of these places have extra faction money, right? Party Machine gets an extra fat creds, so Monte Carlans have an income of 3 plus 1. Exchange of Light has a 3 plus 1. Sharifan Government gets a 4 wealth. But they are tech level 3, so that's going to limit what they can buy. They can get a monopoly or a bank. Faction can ignore 1 cost or fat cred loss imposed by another faction. Monopoly. I feel like that's how they're stopping defending their world from the imperialist invaders. They're just forcing them to pay them money by controlling things. Plus 1. Cool. They also get a cunning asset at level 3 because they clearly are not going to be able to fight it out uh, in a straight death battle. Vanguard cadres. They're pretty strong. Party machine can fight as well. Oh, snap. That's probably too high level, right? It's supposed to be level 3. I was going to say that would be amazing for them to have. Okay, cunning level 3. They can get covert shipping. Oh. Anyone special? No. Cyber ninjas. How about that? Oh, man. Can you imagine cybernetic? I mean, this is straight up Howard. They're cybernetic ninja octopus people. Squid people. Sweet. Oh, it's TL4. And they literally can't get it. Seductress. Subvert. Seductress deals no damage, but an asset that has been successfully attacked immediately reveals any other stealth. That's, I mean, all it does is just reveal stealth. Blackmail. More special forces units. Saboteurs. Lobbyists. What do they do? Used to block the government permission that is sometimes required to buy an asset or transport. When a rival faction gains permission to do so, the lobbyists can make an immediate cunning versus cunning. Alright, cool. They're gonna use saboteurs then. And they're gonna try to sabotage. Sabotage! The Caesar Zaibatsu. Okay, Caesar Zaibatsu have a nice big old. What happens if you attack and the enemy can't defend against it? A successful attack. Attacks can only be launched against known assets. As a rival has stealth assets in the world. Launch attack. Attacker sets one. Targets a rival faction. Each attacking asset is matched against a defending asset. Each attacking asset can only attack only once on the turn. It's matched. Attacker rolls 1d10. Adds his roll of true. Military units attack. I add the forces faction. Faction's cunning rating. The defender rolls a d10. Okay. Hacker selects an asset. Targets a rival faction. Each attacking asset is matched against a defending asset. Attacking asset can attack only once per turn. Okay, so the Sharifans can swing with their cunning. And the enemy has to defend with cunning, or... I'm not really clear on how that works. Let's look it up on the internets. Force assets. I don't know. Let's get some music back on. And I guess I'll figure out how the attacks go down. It's weird that it says that things are this versus this. Does that mean only things like force units can only go against force units? I'm curious. Let's keep buying assets. Caesar Zaibatsu. Needs to have a Force 4 unit. Well, it needs to have a powerful unit. Beachhead landers. Large number of troops as an action. May move any number of assets to a world. Well, that's interesting. What about Strike Fleet? Strike fleets are composed of frigates or cruiser vessels equipped with space-to-ground weaponry. As an action, they can move. Okay, that makes perfect sense. That works great for them because it lets them maintain a space blockade. So, they have a strike fleet over the planet, which is going to make their job of planetary domination pretty easy. But they now need to have an asset to take the ground troop fight. So probably it's going to be a wealth asset. I'm sure there's something like mercenaries. Wealth assets. Mercenaries, of course. Yep. They're going to literally just drop those mercenaries on the planet. Bombard the planet and attempt to destroy it. And honestly, I feel like the Sharifan government is not going to last very long against this. Unless those saboteurs get really lucky, they are going to wreck face pretty dang hard. Perfect. But the players might step in, or I mean, almost certainly if the players alert another group that this is happening. Horus is going to need spaceships. So, I mean, he's all about that expansionism. He doesn't know to expand yet, but once he does, he's going to need to be able to. He gets to level 4 cunning. So, is there any spaceship type unit here? No. Party machine works pretty well. Covert shipping. Quiet transportation of one unit to another. Any special forces unit may be moved between any worlds within 3 hexes of covert shipping. Yep, that's the thing. That's the thing right there. It might not be the most powerful unit, but they can literally move special forces units. So now we need a Force 3 or Wealth 1 special forces unit. So Force 3 special forces. I mean, Zealot makes a heck of a lot of sense. They do suicide attacks. Zealots take 1d4 damage each time they launch. So yeah, they can literally just throw zealots at people. The Sharifans are the peaceful aliens. The librarians are the Horus. Wealth asset 1 is local investors. None of those are special forces. Zealots are special forces, so they are capable of being transported. As soon as Horus learns that there are other assets out in the world, he can launch his zealots out there. And zealots are capable of destroying themselves in suicide attacks, but they are also great at taking worlds. So in order to take another world, you need to land on it with a unit and then create a base of influence there. A homeworld is always automatic. Oh, so I guess the Caesar Zaibatsu have a homeworld. Oh, you know what? They are probably from that shitty asshole world full of jerk faces. That's called... Not that one. Not that one. They're from Actorus in 003. Yeah, they're from the people who control their world through fear and pretend like there's no other... there's no other units or no other universe out there. So they do have a base of influence, and that's where they're from. Is 0003. Okay. Oh, snap. I forgot to put where all these units are. Caesar Zaibatsu units are in the same place as Sharifans, so 102, 102. Horisians are in 2, and Monte Carlans are in 4. Now we've got the Legion's Council. These folks are fighting the exchange of light in a Cold War, and their job is to deal damage to the enemy. The enemy, in this case, has force units and wealth units, so if they can hit with cunning, it'll be difficult for them to counterattack. Legion's Council is very good at cunning. So let's look at a level 3 or 4 cunning asset that they can use for attack with. Seditionists. Interesting. Seditionists can attach themselves to an enemy asset. The affected asset can no longer perform attack action. Nope. Party machine is a good start. So they both of these groups. Oh no. So the Exchange of Light has a monopoly on the economy, right? And that's how they maintain power. The Legion's Council has a party machine of like religious and political factions that hold the other side of society together. And that gives them a little bit of extra money too. They get a +1 back cred. Oops. So they get 2 + 1. And they also get a Force 3 or Wealth 1 unit. This does not let them attack. We need an attacking unit. Well, franchising. No, that doesn't really sound like them. What's their force level? 3? Counter intel. Cunning trap. Guerrilla populace. Sounds great. Kind of represents the Cold War nature of their people, too. Yeah. And this lets them use their force rating versus the enemy's cunning, which is good. Because the enemy's cunning is not very good, right? Oh, the enemy cunning is okay. And their force rating is okay. Alright. It's going to be a rough war. It's going to be a long war. A dirty war. We need to list all of our factions, so let's head back to the tracker. Boom. Guys, we've been going for, almost 3 hours now. Well, more like 2.5. 2 hours. Okay, we got started a little late. We're probably going to wrap up this for tonight. We have created our new sector, Kvenland Lambda. From here, we're going to next session. Oh, sorry, close that. Open the sector map. Planet directory. Alright, cool. Excellent. Next session, we will be approaching Sons of Gold, where we will talk about the specific planets that we have laid out now in this area. Madhuri and all the others. And what industries are specific to each planet, how hard it is in order to get goods past the government on each planet. For instance, in Philemon, the government has an Area 51 style complete control, and all trade goes to them, and they're also super corrupt, so it's probably gonna be very hard to make money there. We're gonna look through all that next time, so please join us. Sorry if I got a little scattered here. There's been a lot of numbers and a lot of spreadsheets, and it's only going to get so much worse next time. So, part 2, Sons of Gold, will be our next episode, and then part 3 will be Starvation Cheap, which is, we'll be developing, oh gosh, it's probably going to be 4 parts. We're going to have to develop this side of the sector map, give factions for all of them, and then give them all reasons to fight each other, and then create mercenary factions and mercenary jobs. Oh my gosh, there's a sector called Dota. Wow. Is there a planet there? I hope there is. Freak geology, freak weather. Probably not a great place to live. So, join me next time, and we're going to talk about making beautiful businesses.